Hey, this is Mr. Aiden. This is Cellular Respiration Summary, or a big review of cellular respiration. So whether you're in my 8th grade science class, whether you're in a biology, high school biology class, a college biology class, we're going to be doing a great overview of cellular respiration. So this is going to be very helpful. But we have to do a review of where photosynthesis occurs in the cell. And photosynthesis occurs in the chloroplast of the cell. And what are the reactants of photosynthesis is obviously 6 water, a plant needs water, 6 carbon dioxide, 6 moles of carbon dioxide, and light energy to break those bonds. And we're going to make glucose, C6H12O6, plus 6 moles of oxygen gas. And so that is what happens in the chloroplast. But cellular respiration, what happens in our cells, happens in the mitochondria. And what are the reactants of cellular respiration is glucose, that high energy molecule C6H12O6, plus 6 oxygen gases, and that's going to make water, carbon dioxide, 6 moles each, and energy for the cell, 34 ATP of energy, which means hopefully you can see the reactants of photosynthesis is the products of cellular respiration. The products of photosynthesis is the reactants of cellular respiration. And so we're just going to go over all the diagrams that we've done in cellular respiration. Again, a great review. And so this is kind of going to be the cellular respiration overview right here. And of course, before stage 1, we have what's called glycolysis. We have glucose coming into this stage 1. And where is this happening? This happening in the cytoplasm. And it is anaerobic, which means we do not need oxygen gas. And what happens out of glycolysis is we make 2 ATP, not enough energy to fuel the cell, but enough energy to keep glycolysis going. It's going to make 2 3-carbon molecules, so it breaks glucose down into 2 3-carbon molecules, and it's going to produce some energy for stage 2. Stage 1 is called the Krebs cycle, or the citric acid cycle, and so we have this 3-carbon molecule coming into the Krebs cycle, and that's happening in the matrix. And that is anaerobic as well, which means we do not need oxygen gas. And what comes out of that is we get 2 ATP, again, not enough energy to fuel the cell, and we get some carbon dioxide gas. That's what you breathe out, carbon dioxide gas. And it gives energy in order to have stage 2 happens. Stage 2 is the electron transport chain. And that is happening in the mitochondrial membrane. That is aerobic, which means oxygen gas is a reactant, and that oxygen gas is producing water, which means, yes, you do breathe out water, and it is making 34 molecules of ATP, which ends up fueling the cell. And so this is the overview of cellular respiration. Let's just zero in on glycolysis. What's happening in glycolysis? Of course, we have our glucose molecule coming in, and we have 2 molecules of ATP coming in to break those bonds. And it breaks the bonds into 2 3-carbon molecules. And then these 2 3-carbon molecules end up kind of morphing and end up into a much better molecule able to be used, which we call pyruvic acid. And when it does so, it gives off energy because it's going to a better state and a lower potential energy state. And it gives off energy in the form of ATP and NADH. Now, some of that NADH ends up going to stage 2. That ATP ends up getting recycled in and ends up breaking more bonds. So glycolysis continues to keep going. And of course, the ATP becomes ADP, the ADP becomes the ATP, and the NAD plus becomes the NADH. And that is what's happening in glycolysis. And then we start going into what we call stage 1. We had our pyruvic acid, or pyruvate, from glycolysis. And you can see there's 3 carbon molecules. And what do we lose? We lose a carbon dioxide. So if we lose 1 carbon, we're down to 2 carbons, right? From 3. The coenzyme A comes in and binds with this 2-carbon molecule to become what we call acetyl CoA. We also get some NADH coming off, which means we have NAD plus producing some NADH. This acetyl CoA is coming into the citric acid cycle. It loses that coenzyme A, and so it ends up, all you have is that 2-carbon molecule, and it bonds to a 4-carbon molecule, which makes a 6th carbon molecule, which we call citric acid. That's why we call it the citric acid cycle. We lose some carbon dioxide, and we also lose some more NADH, some more energy to the electron transport chain. And of course, that NAD plus becomes the NADH. And so if we lose a carbon in the carbon dioxide, we're down to 5 carbons, aren't we? Well, we're going to lose some more carbon dioxide, and we're going to become a 4 carbon molecule. We're also going to lose a little bit of ATP when we have ADP bonding with my phosphorus right there to become ATP. And we also make some more NADH for our stage 2. Well, that 4 carbon molecule, it now kind of morphs and changes into a lower potential energy state and becomes another 4 carbon molecule. Similar but different, and then it becomes another 4 carbon molecule, and it keeps giving off energy, and it gives off energy in the form of NADH and FADH2, obviously from the FAD and the NAD plus. You can see there's a lot of energy from the NADH and a lot of H from the NADH and the FADH2 going to stage 2, which is the electron transport chain. Stage 2, the electron transport chain, remember we had a bunch of NADH. We had a little bit of FADH2. So what is that? That's giving energy in the form of electrons. So it's going to energize these electrons. These electrons are going in this, what we call conveyor belt, called the electron transport chain. It is a very, very detailed design system here. It did not just happen by chance. And then, of course, it gives off a bunch of H+, a bunch of protons there. And so the H+ gets collected kind of on this intermembrane space. And so what happens here is, of course, the NADH becomes NAD+, and the FADH2 becomes the FAD, and it goes back to stage 1 and collects more energy. Well, the amazing thing is this. The H+ gets moved through this channel right here, and this channel is called ATP synthase. It's a beautifully designed motor system of an enzyme that allows for the H+ to come through. We also have oxygen gas coming into the system, and when oxygen gas comes into the system, it combines with some more of that H+ to become water. And so you can see that's an aerobic system because it's got oxygen gas. We also have some ADP, and we have some phosphorus producing a lot of energy, that 34 molecules of ATP, and that's what fuels all the cellular processes you have. And so you can see we had our overview, we had our pre-stage 1 of glycolysis, we had our stage 1, which was the Krebs cycle or the citric acid cycle, and then we had stage 2, the electron transport chain. That is a big overview, very quick overview of cellular respiration and how you stay alive. Stay alive out there, guys.